Good morning, magandang umaga po. This is just a quick video that I want to update you on the Balikbayan program. I was a little bit confused on what is going on because there is one provision that says you can only exercise the Balikbayan once a year. You have to be out for one whole year before you can come back. And then I have another provision that contradicts that and says you can. There is no limit as to the number of times you will go in and out. That's what we're going to talk about, and I will clarify that after talking to the the Philippine Embassy in Netherlands, as well as I received an email from the Philippine Embassy in the Philippines, so Department of Foreign Affairs, I should say, in the Philippines. So hang loose, stay with me. There are two provisions, and I'm going to read it to you, that created a confusion. And I'm going to explain to you what this is all about. It's starting to make sense because when I was talking to this guy, I'm sorry to say, but he really does not know exactly. But in just talking to him, I was able to gather a more accurate reading as to what this thing really means. Okay, but he was not really able to answer my question, because he said, oh, it depends on the immigration office, blah, blah, blah. No. This is how it goes. Let me show you the first one. I saw a provision within one website, that sort of contradicted itself. Okay? Let's go through it and I'll show it to you. According to the Philippine Embassy in Hague, Netherlands, but I also saw it in another Philippine Embassy or Department of Foreign Affairs website, that a Filipino citizen, now this is just defining who is Balikbayan, a Filipino citizen who has been continuously out of the country for a period of at least 1 year from the date of last departure. I said, so I could only use this once a year because I will have to look at my last date of departure. If it's less than 12 months, I cannot come as a Balikbayan. Okay, but now this one is talking about a Filipino citizen. So they're not talking about foreigner or former Filipino citizen. They're talking about pure Filipino citizen. Okay, that's just definition. That's just one of them. Here's another provision that says, for Filipino citizens who have been continuously out of the country, you will need to show a Philippine passport showing the date of last departure. This will not apply to most of you. What this is trying to do is, if you are a Filipino and you went to Hong Kong, let's say for 1 month on vacation doing shopping and such, you cannot come back and say right away that you are Balikbayan. You can't, because you have not been away for 12 months. The intent here, or what they're saying here, is that you have to establish that you are now a resident. You could still be a Filipino citizen, but you have to be a resident of another country. If you just went out momentarily, you need to be away for 12 months before you can claim Balikbayan. Okay? On the other hand, if you're no longer a Filipino citizen and you're away, you establish your residence in the United States, let's say, you're now a US citizen, you can come back as a Balikbayan, provided you show that you were a former Filipino citizen. Now, what happens if you're a Filipino, you went to the United States, but you never became a US citizen, you're just an immigrant visa holder and you started working there? You are also a Balikbayan. Okay, because you're coming back, even though you are Filipino and did not lose your Philippine citizenship. All right? For former Filipino citizen, the Balikbayan privilege can be availed of by foreign members of a Balikbayan's family every time they enter the Philippines with the Balikbayan or former Filipino dual citizen, and not only once a year. So you can come back as many times as you want, no problem. So the biggest difference between the two is, the first one is strictly Filipino citizen, did not take any other citizenship, and only went out momentarily for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you cannot come back and enter the Philippines as a balikbayan. You are not. Now, if you're a Filipino citizen and you establish residence in a foreign country and you stay there and work there, for example, you became an immigrant of the United States, you now can come back as a Filipino citizen and also as a balikbayan. So you do not necessarily have to change your citizenship. You establish residence in that country. Okay? Now, for former by the way, the reason for that is balikbayan has some benefits. For example, if you're a balikbayan as opposed to regular Filipino traveling in the Philippines or overseas or whatnot, you pay travel tax. Balikbayan does not. They don't pay travel tax. You can go to customs duty-free shops and buy stuff duty-free, okay? Whereas a regular Filipino citizen cannot. And that's the reason why they say, okay, you may be a Filipino, but you have to be out of the country for at least 12 months because that assumes you established residence elsewhere. So if you're a Filipino citizen, and you became an immigrant in the United States and started working here, you can come back as a balikbayan or as a Filipino. All right? Now, for former citizen, the balikbayan privilege can be availed of. Now, this time we're going to talk about former Filipino citizen. Okay, the first one is Filipino. You can be a balikbayan as a former Filipino provided you were away for 12 months. The next one is former Filipino citizen. That means you acquired citizenship in another foreign land. All right? The balikbayan privilege can be availed of by foreign members of the balikbayan family. Okay? Every time they enter the Philippines with a balikbayan, former Filipino dual citizen, and not only once a year. So once you have established residence in the United States or another foreign land, you could still be a Filipino citizen. Okay? Or you could lose your Philippine citizenship. You are now a balikbayan. Now, the email I received this morning also clarified the period, because I saw one that says you can extend up to 2 years. The initial period that they'll give you is 1 year, but you can extend it to 2 years. And now I saw another one that's 3 years. Well, they confirmed that it's 3 years. Okay, so you can extend your stay for another 1, 2, or 6 months, up to 3 years. Now, and I say up to 3 years, why? Because they said after 36 months, there will be additional requirements or additional questions will be asked. So I assume when you apply for 1, 2, or 6 months, no questions, just routine and money. Okay, maybe you have to pay. But when you start going 36 months, they'll ask you questions. Why that long? How long have you been here? Maybe you need another kind of visa or something like that. Now, there was also a question asked, let's say, it's a balikbayan family. Let's say the wife is a Philippine citizen or balikbayan, and then the husband is a foreign husband who just got in as a balikbayan also, or balikbayan spouse. And then before the year ends, they left the country. Let's say they went to Singapore for 1 month vacation. The question asked was, can this balikbayan, the foreign spouse of this balikbayan person, come back to the Philippines without the spouse? Because remember, to get the balikbayan, you have to be traveling with the principal balikbayan person. Okay? Now, can that foreign person come back? And this is the answer. Oh, in this case, by the way, I assume that I am the balikbayan and my spouse, let's say my spouse, is the foreign spouse. So if my wife comes back, if your wife returned to the Philippines without you, without me, who is the Filipino, please be informed that foreign spouse of Filipino national is allowed to enter the country subject to primary inspection by immigration officer. It's not guaranteed. Okay, it will be discretionary. This also tells me that 9A visa, where you need to get an exemption, this has nothing to do with Balikbayan now. I'm deviating. Okay, I'm deviating. You can get a tourist visa if your wife is a Filipino or former Filipino in the Philippines, provided you get an exemption. Okay, so this is telling me they do allow people. They do not intend to separate people. They want them to be together. So that will depend on the immigration officer, but to me that is a valid exemption even for a 9A visa. All right, so I hope this cleared things up. Let me summarize again. If you are a Filipino, former Filipino, you are in the States, you can come back, and you can come back as many times as you want. All right, that's plain and simple. Plain and simple. You do not have to be a Filipino citizen. You could be a Filipino citizen who never acquired U.S. citizenship and got married to a foreigner. You can come back as a Balikbayan, but because you did not acquire that, you're required to be away for 12 months first. After 12 months, you're home free. You have established residence in a foreign country. You can come back as Balikbayan, and so will your spouse. All right? So, like what I said, the first thing that confused the heck out of me is this one. It says, who has been in the Philippines for a period of at least 1 year for a day. That is just a definition to define or to establish who is a Balikbayan. Okay? So that's for Filipino citizen. The next one is for non-Filipino citizen. All right? So hopefully that clarifies that. But this last segment, and when I say to summarize, that's it. Once you get it, it's really plain and simple. So for those people who are true Balikbayan, former Filipino citizen, don't worry about that 1 year. That 1 year will not apply to you. Okay. Please do share this video with friends, relatives who might be interested in this. And I'll appreciate it if you hit like. I assume you like it. And please do subscribe, unless you have already done so. Thank you so much, and make it a great day. God bless.